All right, well, today we're going to show you a little bit fish management here in South Dakota. I think that's probably on the private sector. Fish management is a pretty new topic in much of the the upper Great Plains and Midwest. And not a lot of people do it, but it's just like, it'd be no different than managing for pheasants or deer. There's ways you can go in and sample the fish like we're doing today with electrofishing in this pond to get an idea of the population size, their growth rates, the health of the fish and everything, to kind of make management decisions from there on how you want to go from there to manage your pond on whether it's growing big bluegill or big bass, or maybe you want some muskies in your pond that are just growing to 6 foot long or something. So there's a lot of options out there, but today we're going to be electrofishing. Brian Greb with Applied Fisheries Sciences come down, bring his boat. We're going to throw it in. Last fall we shocked and we were pulling way too many fish. In this pond is about 5 acres. We were pulling about somewhere between 400 and 600 fish an hour. They were all 3-4 inches long. So the plan was to harvest them this year. Well, so we're going to dump the boat in and shock them up, see what we get, and if we can harvest some out, we're going to, and if we can't, we'll go from there. But we just got done sampling, and it's quite a bit different than it was last fall. After the fall shocking in October, we had a big rain, and the water was flowing over top the dam. Again in March, when everything was frozen and we had a lot of flooding, this was flooding over. And actually today we had less than an inch, but a pretty quick heavy rain before we got started that we had to let pass through before we got on the water. And we watched the water in this pond come up over a foot, and it's going out the dam already as well. So Mother Nature, I think, helped us on that based on the results we saw. She took care of the harvesting for us and probably sent most of them fish downstream. Today we were pulling about 30 fish an hour. Really, that's a good thing. We were going to have to harvest. We came into this expecting to harvest, but going down to 30, we just turned this to what we kind of wanted. We might be a little on the low end, but we want lower fish to grow big bass, and the bass we were catching were phenomenal. We're catching 15-inch bass, and they're only 2 years old in this pond. I don't know what the relative weight values were, but I mean, some of them were 2-pound fish. So we're going to go in, we're devising another stocking plan. We'll probably be adding a lot of minnows, more bluegill, and maybe even another year class of largemouth, given that a lot of them this spring spawn might not be in here anymore after the flooding. So we're going to come in and restock. Or stock some more. Then we'll come back next fall, shock it again, and see where we're at with it. And just kind of, that's one thing, again, like I said, people are used to managing deer, pheasants up here. I think it's a pretty new thing on the private sector, but you can come in and manage the ponds the way you want and monitor them. The shock boat's the way to monitor and grow the fish population you want to see in your pond or your small lake or whatever you got. So between that and adding habitat and aeration, you can have everything you dream of right in your backyard. And with the sampling on this today, the bass were, we had those big bass, those 15-inch, 2-pound bass. But when they all went in here, most of them were 3-4 inches as well in 2 years. And for them to grow that fast is great. But the other thing we saw that was, was really good to see is we had a lot of 4, 5, 6-inch bass that were also just plump. I mean, you can see they're starting to they got bellies on them, and they're going to be, that's your future. And to have those, we've spawned in, and those coming up in the back, I mean, that's where we keep the prey base there. I think the goal on this pond is probably achievable of having an 8, 9, maybe even a 10-pound bass in South Dakota within a short time frame. And a lot of people say that's unheard of, or you're not going to be able to do that up in a northern state. But I feel optimistic we're going to be able to do it in here if we keep at it and keep monitoring and doing the management decisions we need to. Like I said, the next round of fish are there. They're coming up behind them, and they're all healthy. We keep the prey base there. No telling what we'll be able to do in here. Hopefully it's a pond full of big bass, and And you got bluegill out there, and who knows, maybe have some muskie to help clean up the population on their own too.